Welcome back to TNLP, the newsletter podcast brought to you by the HazMat Guys. I'm your host, Timmy, here with this week's top hazmat stories from around the U.S. The biggest news from this past week is still all about the HazMat Guys. They've officially released their episode archives to the public as they've sunset the premium membership. So, now not only do you, Joe Schmo, get access to the entire 500-plus episode catalog, you also now have access to previous premium perks, like the Vance Bennett Instructor's Corner and the monthly Hazmat Happy Hour. Ex-premium members, keep an eye out for a notification regarding your $100 credit to use on anything in the online store, including merch, training books, and even LMS courses. Kicking off our episode this week, we'll start with a story out of Irvine, California. The LA Times shared reports that investigators swarmed an upscale neighborhood this week after a juvenile mixed unknown chemicals inside a single-family home, prompting a call to police and triggering a massive federal response. Police first responded on Monday to the home on Cartwheel after a landlord reported suspicious activity at the residence, according to the Irvine Police Department. The Orange County Fire Authority determined that items found inside the home required further investigation, and local agencies contacted the FBI, police said. Irvine police said on Thursday that the initial call was triggered by a report that a juvenile at the home mixed unknown chemicals. The specific substances involved, along with the surrounding circumstances, are being carefully and methodically evaluated by subject matter experts from multiple disciplines, Irvine police said in a statement. When authorities searched the home, they discovered chemicals that could be used for terrorist activities, according to a source with knowledge of the investigation. However, the source said it's unclear exactly how the chemicals were being used. The source spoke to the Times on condition of anonymity to discuss the investigation candidly. The multi-million-dollar four-bedroom home at the center of the investigation is in Altair, an exclusive gated community adjacent to the Great Park and across the street from Portola High School. The posh neighborhood offers residents access to 24/7 security, multiple pools, tennis courts, and a clubhouse. The home under investigation was listed for rent in April 2021 for $7,500 a month, according to Zillow. A person identified in public records as a possible tenant at the home hung up when contacted by a Times reporter on Thursday. The homeowner could not immediately be reached for comment. Helicopter footage captured by KTLA showed a large deployment of personnel and vans surrounding the home, as workers dressed in hazmat suits and wearing respirators carried items outside the home. FBI agents without protective gear were also seen walking around the property. On Thursday morning, a guard stationed at the front entrance to the community referred reporters to local investigators, saying they were not permitted to allow anyone inside. From the outside, nothing immediately appeared to be out of the ordinary, aside from the news vans that lined the street adjacent to the community. Teslas and Mercedes-Benz SUVs streamed out from behind the gates, and construction at the adjacent neighborhood continued without interruption. The sound of the bubbling fountain at the entrance to Altair was muffled by the whir of news helicopters that had hovered above the neighborhood off and on since Wednesday, causing chatter and speculation among residents. No one had been ordered to evacuate, and there was no known threat to the community, police said. Still, that warning did not fully calm the nerves of residents jolted by the dramatic operation in a suburb that's known as one of the safest cities of its size in the country. Even though they tell you it's safe, it doesn't really inspire safety in the people who live there when they see people who are fully kitted out and walking into a house, neighbor Ahmed Bajwa told KTLA on Wednesday. Bajwa said the people who lived in the home targeted by the operation were a family and did not appear suspicious. It wasn't anything that fits what you would think this type of response would justify, he said. Here's hoping this is a classic case of better safe than sorry. Up next, in the same category of response tactics, we'll head to Easton, Maryland, where hazmat crews gave the all-clear around 10 p.m. Friday after handling a hazardous materials incident, police said. First responders were on scene at the 500 block of Brooklets Avenue for reports of bottles with some unknown chemicals in it, according to police. Easton Police Department Deputy Chief Greg Wright on Friday evening, around 8 p.m., confirmed that Special Operations, Office of the State Fire Marshal, and hazmat specialists were responding to the area. Wright said the bottles had been placed outside and were there for over a week. Police wrote on Facebook that officers were investigating a hazardous materials incident alongside other first responders. At 10:03 p.m., the agency said HazMat specialists gave the all clear, reopening the surrounding roads that had been temporarily closed. Concluding our episode this week, we end in southern central Pennsylvania, where the York County HazMat team, along with state and federal partners, returned to the site of a massive fire in a salvage yard where batteries and other materials burned earlier this week. You guessed it, another battery response story. The HazMat team says they worked alongside the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection to mitigate a large number of lithium-ion batteries damaged in Wednesday's fire at J&K Salvage in Spring Garden Township. The HazMat team has also assisted with placing booms to control runoff into the Codorus Creek, constructing underflow dams, and looking for points of concern along the river. On Thursday, the Department of Environmental Protection said it was working to remove oily sheen from the creek. Samples were taken from the water for testing. However, there is no threat to public health, and public drinking water is safe, according to DEP. Thus far, the HazMat team has worked nearly 40 hours at the salvage yard and says the EPA will remain on site for an extended period to oversee the cleanup process. The fire's cause is still under investigation. Seems like ending the episode on a battery response is becoming a common theme, but the boom deployment is what I'll focus on this time. Did you know Nerd Volumes 1 and 2 have drills specifically for this kind of scenario? Get your hands on some of the best training tools out there and get your copies of Nerd 1 and 2 online, now at thehazmatguys.com. That's going to do it for this week's HazMat News. We'll see you next week. Timmy, over and out.